Does anyone else feel like super intellectually inferior that you don't have a favorite year? History. I'm like, I need to now get a favorite year.
Grace is very good at making me feel intellectually inferior.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. And we're so excited to talk about, I think, easily one of the most urgent, well-pedigreed and timely films of the festival. So I want to start with Phyllis. Talk to me about how this sort of material came to you and why this was the right movie to do for you now.
Sure. Robbie Brenner, our intrepid producer, sent it to me. And I think she said something like, well, this is about women. It might appeal to you. So I thought, well, that doesn't sound like it's like everything's about women that I read. And then I read it and I thought, yeah, okay, I can see what this is like. And Elizabeth was attached to it when I read it. And she and I had a long conversation about it. And we both were on the same page about how we felt this should go. And it was away we go. It spoke to me, the urgency of it and the possibility for humor and telling this story through the journey of one woman as she makes her way through these various landscapes in her life. That's how that happened. And then, of course, everyone, it was fun and convincing Sigourney to do it and everyone else.
So Elizabeth, what prior knowledge did you have of the Jane Collective and what was it like sort of delving into that rich history, which sadly is probably now more necessary than ever, I'm sure.
I had heard that there was a Jane Collective. That's about all I knew. And in researching the group, the sheer numbers of women that they helped and the sort of underground nature of what they were doing. I mean, I thought they were incredible. I think they were superheroes, at the time. I think it's important to see, for instance, those certain scenes, especially with the police officer who comes, that there was a system in place and always has been a system in place of abortion that was sort of run by men. We talk about the mafia, for instance, in the movie, that they essentially took control away from the men who ran this sort of underground system and created a more equitable and inclusive organization to the best that they could in the time period that they were in and under the pressure that they were under, that they didn't judge a single person that came through the door. And I just loved the celebration, not just of choice but really of these women working together. I love that it was a collective.
Anybody else want to jump in just about exploring and learning about this rich history of the Jane Collective?
Well, I'm old enough here to remember what it was like before Roe versus Wade. And we needed to pass that law. And so I welcome the idea, because I was just graduating from high school. I welcome the idea of playing one of these activist women who Virginia's an activist, but she's surrounded by a whole, medley of women from different walks of life. I love Aida Turturro, who's working with us. To me, it was not a political issue then. It is not a political issue today. It is a very painful personal choice. And I love the fact that you see how women can transform something that's upsetting, traumatizing, into something that's bearable, and that they all sort of share the burden of the experience together.
And I think, as you all have said, and as the film sort of illustrates really beautifully, is that, choice is really about a sisterhood of women deciding what to do with their bodies. And, I wonder the increased sort of politicizing of this issue, which I think you see start around Nixon. Why is that such a consistent obsession on political agenda?
I don't know that there was enough time to go into all of the systems in place, but it just feels like it's just control. I mean, that's always what it feels like to me, at least. All unwanted pregnancy is the result of irresponsible ejaculation. And yet here we are. Somehow the solution is only on women. And I find that fascinating and disturbing.
Well said. I saw, Phyllis, you'd spoken previously about this project wasn't particularly difficult to get together in the course of Indie Film Czar, but is there any trepidation on your part or for any of the actors, when you when you sort of make content like this and tell these intimate stories, you know, people come out of the woodwork, and you know, I remember even Gloria Steinem coming to Sundance with the Glorias, like she's getting death threats. And is it hard to sort of put yourself out there with work like this?
The very short answer is no. One must. If I were afraid of doing work like this, or if anyone here were afraid of doing it, we actually wouldn't be sitting here. So no, we have to forge ahead. It's like, this is second nature. And I think it may, again, be different for women. We've lived with all forms of discrimination throughout our history. So being brave is just like breathing the air around us. Although it must be said that we're all making a film. We're not delusional. We know we're not, Joan of Arc.
And thank God you forge ahead with work like this. Ms. Mosaku and Grace, I would love to sort of know just how you guys got involved and sort of like what is your take on the world of the film?
I just got an audition for it. I read for the character of Charlotte, and I was kind of, at the time, I was really going through kind of a 60s phase, but I didn't know much about it. And so when I auditioned for it and I got the part, and I was starting to read about what was going on with these women, and this time I suddenly became aware of something so real and so shocking in that time that I'm glad to be a part of and know about.
Yeah, I didn't actually know anything about the Janes before the script. That I thought it was quite, when I was reading it, I was like, there's no way this woman's gonna, she doesn't become one of them. Like, she's a housewife. Like, this doesn't happen. This isn't real. Getting to the end of the film, and I'm like, in 1973, the Janes were, I was like, what? This is real? This is real. And did some research, and I was like, wow, okay, yes. Can I please meet with Phyllis?
There's so much here to unpack, but if there was any desire from all of you that the audience would take away one thing or have one particular conversation, what would that be?
In general, I think we really want to just build more empathy for women's decision-making, remind people that women are equal humans with agency in their lives and desires and ambitions, and that this movie is really about making sure everybody has the choice to determine their own future.
And I guess I would say that one of the things that I think is so moving is just the power of sisterhood. When women come together, things happen. And I feel we've all been pushed into different corners with the politicizing of all these different issues. And especially emphasized by COVID, of course, there's no opportunity to really sit down and, and you can with this. I think it's a great movie to share with your mother and your daughter and your husband, and just a reminder of what life was like before Roe versus Wade and what this issue is about, which is also a woman's life and the importance of her agency, her right to make decisions, her dignity, her health.
I want there to be an intergenerational, intersectional conversation film, if possible. That would make me happiest, I think. And to quote Sandra Bullock's character in Miss Congeniality, world peace and world peace. So we need to start having these conversations, men, women, everyone.